자자 걸어줘 봐. 내 페파 참말더니 다시 들려요. 내 페파 통제지. 강이나 내다다 사제 그런지 너나 내 상태요. 삼바 세비고 막 잠도 쳐보더니다 참말로 제하고 뭐지. 이 때를 감성 샘기 답지 샘 대체기 뭐 우리 잡다고요 우리 삼바 세면 막 사제 그서요 우리 내 오늘 때인데 상태지 잡다고요 우리 다시 되래.
Dashidele to all my friends on the live stream and also all of you who are here today. And thank you all for coming. And I'm offering you this milk of immeasurable love that comes from the Buddha's begging bowl. It is indeed an ocean of immeasurable loving kindness. And such an ocean of loving kindness can pervade all sentient beings in the three realms of samsara because they all possess Buddha nature. So this is the bowl that was created by the Buddha out of immeasurable loving kindness. And such loving kindness pervades all beings. So Dashidele to all of you.
Welcome everyone to the summer retreat, and I'm happy that we can receive these teachings from His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche on the Noble King of Aspiration Prayers for Excellent Conduct, this very special commentary. And we also will be hosting our guest Lama Khenpo Siring Tashi, who will help lead the discussion group Q&A in the afternoon sessions, and will be alternating with our resident Lama Khenpo Tenzin to lead those discussion groups. So please, while you're listening to the teachings of Garchen Rinpoche in the mornings, write down any questions that might arise related to what Rinpoche is teaching. And then those are the questions that will be asked in the afternoon. And for those who are watching online, please have your questions ready, as we will be asking those questions over the Zoom in the afternoon. Now we'll begin with the opening prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 1. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue.
Sancho Tune Chibata, Sancho Samba Labala, Teta Renjian Nebata, Tejian Rola Pendon, Sancho Sene Chijeje, Tejian Tuna Labala, Rambaji, Ajiu.
I take refuge in the Buddhas until attaining the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until attaining the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path.
Sanje chudan sujian chunala, sanjo bardu dane jasun, dagwe jim so jim be sunam ji, jola penso sanjin rebayo.
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Mandala offering.
Ram jam jam so shenge jorbe so ma le lo yen den la na ten yen ro gon do ji zong de so da le long jo do ba jin che tang Om kan chen chen chai yon de ma che da de zong wen gu bu che che gong mer jie dan zhen xie wa shen jie lo mer dan men ta le yong de xian Jian ga ne song zhou wong ta jie jie men qian len den men zhan xiu er wei san jie to ba sun jie lu
An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and attributes of arising, cessation, and abiding. coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. When I offer it, bless me to attain the state of Buddhahood.
Om Guru Deva Jake Mantra Mandala Patita Sova
Page 11.
Shem Chenam Jasambata Loya Sedra Chetava Chechon Tumon Tevaye Chujian Kolo Gordu.
Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
So today, Dharma friends, we're going to speak about the King of Aspiration prayers for excellent conduct. And that is a practice or a prayer that is practiced throughout all the different Buddhist traditions, throughout the different lineages. Everyone considers this King of Aspiration prayers for excellent conduct as most precious, very important practice. And so to put it in simple terms for people like myself who do not have much learning, how can we understand this excellent conduct? What's the meaning of this excellent conduct? For example, we can think of different people in a country, for example, who engage in excellent conduct. There are some people who are quite famous for their excellent conduct. When we think about them and we hear their name, then we remember what they have done and we like them. Or even on a smaller scale, animals, for example, sometimes also display excellent conduct toward each other. So then where does such excellent conduct come from? It comes from loving kindness. And we all have that, but it is extremely subtle. It is, for the most part, suppressed by self-grasping. So even though sentient beings do possess loving kindness, it does not become very beneficial or useful to them. Just like if you have only a little bit of water, you can't really do so much with it. Whereas when it rains, then the entire environment, all the plants in the environment will grow. So we have loving kindness, but it's very weak and limited due to self-grasping. And so to eliminate self-grasping and grow our loving kindness, the Buddhas gave us the method of cultivating bodhicitta. And so that is really the essence of the prayer for excellent conduct. First, if you have a good intention, then your activities will be positive. And if they're positive, then there will be positive results. And here we are not thinking just about ourselves, but we are also thinking about others. For the most part, most people only think about themselves, their own purpose. Samsaric sentient beings only care about themselves. And their love is very limited. And that is why, even though sometimes they do experience happiness, they always turn that into a lot of suffering. So all the Buddhas of the three times in the beginning gave rise to the precious bodhicitta. And they gave us a method to cultivate bodhicitta where it has not yet arisen, to not let it decline where it has arisen, and to further increase bodhicitta. And that is really the root essence of the prayer for excellent conduct. So somebody who has a good intention, this intention of bodhicitta, will engage in good actions. They will have a good behavior, good conduct. And then as a result, they will experience positive results. And anyone can become like that. If everyone would have a good intention, everyone's activities would be excellent, and everyone's results would be positive. And so this prayer is a method given to us by all the Buddhas to cultivate such good conduct.
망보 사제에 싸쳐버려야 돼. 직법 말에 망보 사제와 직법 말에 삼제 시바도 가능은 잠벨는 게 주력도 용어를 dùng 삼제를 막대면 주력이 직자 용어 말이. 자 최종 탑을 개면 제를 막도도 접에. 되는 잠벨는 용어 저 제일 마치 샘데 용이 대화 먹거리 직자 용어 말이. 대화도 거 대위 저 삼제를 이 용어 말이. 이 저기 샤고 말이. 저 수남제 수남지바데 대비 저들 저거들 어디 몇 수남제래. 강에서 어디다 쓰는 매래. 저도 칸을 셰크거든. 저거 동가리들 수남매래. 삼점이 숨나 나도 맞도 나오냐고 대서데 대독에 이와도 싸워 하고 다 대비 저다 대버져 저 삼제고 요래. 들이 삼제들이 마치와 제가 탑지 아마냐가 탑 공고도 탑 주스도 산제답지 뭐 영양들이 잠벌레게 되면 sepki chulok tamche ma sepki tamche lo go yore dewa goni dewa de gona ta de go yore de krichi bo cha de chusa achim bo ma de de yinju to 톱사 짜지보다 강이 된 아들이 다랑년들이 강이 제일다 이 빼는데서 무슨 쭉 대충총총인데 세슈이지 오 대충총총인데 니저 대충총 다들이 니 대충총인데 가도 좋아 세트 가서 가더라고 다따대 세를 가리 대충총 가면 말이 상부요데 문에 동네 냐니우나 다 동네 세를 나라니 세리 오래 세요리도 세르다 공는데 베니 다 가리치고 다 돼서 동네에도 코 동네에 좋아요. 야 추이도 용로 빼서 네 라니 소디만은 오 동네마다 답된 노래 좀스 오 대나 가리 대라 다들 삼대 거리 삼대 조바 거리서 오 제로 주도 야세서 특히 니네 때니 랑종강니 다조바고부터 주리스 단징이레스 너희 사람 단징이시 야 한발을 다들 루디 들 마음과 지어는 저 단징이가 하고네 대대를 너희 사람들하고 다른 제도 봐요 대블 대리들 대기 이게 네 아들을 보지 사비를 나지 아들을 보지 또 그렇다 동강량은 저 사람이 동강량이 관계 오 동강들이 그것도 하고서는 람상 자도자 그래 담도래 동거리야 야 라로그 송강만이 대다고 가는 콩랑 그 살이 지네들이 살이 늦지 동대 단상 보고 뭐 삽대래 그때 나는 랑게 쏟아 디네다 같이 뭐나 그게 배래들이랑 그 강성으로 배래들이 다들 배들이 이게 대리 그때도 소문 가르치는 것들이 다다 자세 노장 야 들이 살이 나면 가르치 못하니 아들은 뭐지 나사랑한테 공공랑 야 그때랑게디 동국들이 다 사족섬을 주 사족섬을 자체 보면 봐 하고 때 동에 니 보는 하고 그런 사가 제발 좀 항는데 그리 대도 딱 내종되는 그런데 가는 피금도 배네 다디 집기도 핑고를 돌을 때를 사람 심적이 다때도 동시 못씀 그사 르마 나마 나사 그리랑이나 배는 문이 다때리 배는 대회들이 단디 막세 고쪽을 요래 고축바들 데라 네 요제께서 요래 네 사지 좀 되게서는 네 탑락게 줘봐 요제트베 마송소송 네 요제 가리들 막세 장주들 세 장군은 막 고들이 지히서다들 내고는 저게 자타고요 말이 동시 그래 사족섬 자치 보용 봐 대 맞지 타고 하고 이제 레시 자고로 hlog정매에 딱 개바치를 띄인 거 그래 그러면 그 기보 띄는 뭐지라 나만이들이 내동 네 하나들이 잡고 좁을 제가 망보 요래지 그 탐색이랑 그 촉부터 뭐좀 촉대 때니 그 장동저 제시 제바를 되니다다 로고 주제를 보지도 다 들 하장 빈살이 상 들들 같이 돼서 로마토는 로 차와래 차니 다디 공 살리나 절대 그러라게 저 참지 통주제를 이렇게 받았다는 개왕 같이 뵙고 요래 어디 콩나 봐라 때리 또 나게 줘서 나한다고 티나 나무기는 가리만 오 요래 오 예지시에서 참 안도 저래 나게 시에마시는 개왕 나 봐라 때리 고소인데 양당양도 로랭지를 다다 찝어 많이 봐 문 추리들이 내가 로랭지 내가 록장지나 그 탐색이 있는 것들이 하고 듣고 요래 저 내가 갑자기 도서 많이 봐 도가와 제가 도다 요거를 빼나 대회들이 다 같이는 거 두바이 막 제고 제시면서 개왕 답장 나를 치돌아 그만다는 그래 그 마음들이 로랭 나죠 좋았더니 문 추리 주지 유는 뭐라더니 록장지 지체들 그러지 깔리 얘기도 답고 잘로 나가서 잡요리 로니스를 답고 잡요리 라르라 소리오 말이 대회는 따라가는 야들이 생길 빙고 탐지는 통고스 그러다가 되겠다 다 같이도 뭐또 말이 소문은 이제 시작하면 콩나비 송로제게 들지 좋아들 맞춰 되세요
동세 출시는 무슨
아들 어제는 주적도 만들 콩 금성지랑 콩 주적 때문에 죽거리들 주적도 맞아 콩금성도 봐 주적도 뭐 다가 다 먹게 하시라고 도움도 안 좋고 고음도 이 어떻게 안 되지는 가이 자야들이 제가 우리 망보를 때 탐치를 좀 비싸를 했을 때 어떻게 하면 다 먹게 도움만 안 좋고 고음말이 이런 것도 어떻게 할 정도에
And so we think that it's Buddhism, the Buddhist teachings are so precious, but it's not just the Buddhist teachings. Actually, the quality that makes it precious is really love, and that is something you find in all the religions. There's not one religion that would not rely on love. It is just there is a difference when it comes to maybe amount of love that is being developed or the skillful means that are being applied. So we find that in all the religions, and not only there actually, everywhere, everyone who has a mind wants to be happy. And if we want to be happy, we need love. There is no other cause of happiness than love. And that is what we actually call merit. You have merit if you possess love. Now, often people casually say that when they see a person who is doing really well in life, then they say that, oh, this person has a lot of merit. Or when they have a lot of difficulties, then they say, oh, this person doesn't have merit. But actually, what really determines whether one possesses merit or not is whether or not they possess love or not. And humans or animals, any being possesses love to varying degrees. And depending on the degree of love that we possess, we experience varying degrees of happiness and suffering. So when we say may sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, we are really saying may they possess love. And so the teachings are a method to cultivate love where it has not yet arisen, to not let it decline where it has arisen, and to further increase love. That is the intention of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. So all the religions in the world possess that, and all sentient beings want to experience happiness. And that is why the cultivating love is so important. Understanding this is very important. And that is why we say the dharma is so precious. So it is a method to cultivate love. And especially when we are in the face of difficulties. For example, I myself, when I was in prison, when I experienced great difficulties, I received this small booklet that contained the prayer for excellent conduct and together with an outline of that prayer written by other Rinpoche. It's written on these little golden scrolls, also contained printed in your book. And so actually, now when you think about gold and this little Dharma book, if I would ask anyone, what do you prefer? I give you a chunk of gold or I give you this little booklet. And most people would choose the gold. They wouldn't think that there's anything special about a book. But actually, when you're really in the face of suffering, then that book really becomes very valuable. And in fact, even if you have a chunk of gold, it creates a lot of suffering in itself because you have to hide it and protect it and so on. And so in the Dharma, it is said, in the 37 practices, there are 2 important verses. It says that All suffering, without exception, comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So we need to cultivate love. And then the other verse is about patience. To all those who desire a wealth of virtue, all those who do harm are like a precious treasure. So that is a verse on patience. So what we need is love and we need patience. And these two verses really became very important to me during my time in prison. In prison, I thought that this is my time to practice patience. And this suffering arises as a result of self-grasping. Whatever I experience now in this life is the result of my actions committed in previous lives. And for the future, if I want to avoid more suffering, I must eliminate self-grasping. And so in this way, seeing it this way, I was able to tolerate or accept the hardship I experienced. And so during this time in prison, Nangchen Ade Rinpoche, he actually wrote this prayer down and then also gave it to me. And so for some context, during this time in prison, if any of the prison officials would know about any such activity, they would immediately put iron shackles on you. They would tie you up in shackles and then you would be beaten. So it was really a prison of barbarians. So it was quite a sensitive activity, but he wrote these words down because they're very meaningful. So what he wrote is an outline to the prayer of excellent conduct, which is what you see in all the italics in this book, is the outline, and then passed it on to me, and really it became something that I protected, even with my own life, and. So that is this text that I received from him. The original print is in the beginning of the book, and so it is a teaching that was given by the Bodhisattva as a Mantabhadra to Kumara Sudana, or Norsang, called Norsang in Tibetan, and then Ade Rinpoche wrote down this outline and gave it to me. And so it's really extremely precious because it shows us the way to cultivate bodhicitta, and I really understood that to be an antidote to suffering during my time in prison. So three very meaningful things came together with this book, and that is not one who wrote it down, which was Ade Rinpoche, and then what it contained, the essence, and then also that he gave it to me. So that was very special. And now I'm starting the tradition of this teaching, or I'm introducing you this text to you that also contains the outline. And so me explaining that to you maybe also involves a little bit of deception, because I'm not a great scholar who is actually really qualified to give a really like an authentic explanation, a commentary on the prayer for excellent conduct. So I can't really explain the words in a scholarly way, but I do understand the meaning, and I understand the preciousness of bodhicitta. And so therefore I'm passing this on to you. And also you will have an opportunity to learn more about that by asking questions. And also, even though I do not have much learning myself, also we have Khenpo Tenzin Rinpoche here, who has already given a commentary on this teaching. And you can also ask him questions about that. And so right now I'm just really really making an effort in putting that out there, this text with the outline out there. So it was written by Ade Rinpoche, and Ade Rinpoche comes from the Trushik monastery and was the seventh incarnation of his line. And so he was the one who gave me that text, and now I'm passing it on to the disciples. And also there are many great scholars, another great scholar who also came here. And you can ask them, the Kempos, the scholars, questions. So I myself, I'm elderly, and I'm trying my best to pass that on to you, but I also do not have a scholarly understanding like these Kempos do. So if you ask me questions, I might just not be able to give you a really precise response. And so that is why they will be able to help you and answer your questions in the discussion groups. And that's actually something that's very important on an ongoing basis, not just now here at this time, but at any time. Because by engaging in these discussion groups, you will be able to really grasp the essence of the Dharma teaching that is being discussed. So anyways, I'm starting this tradition now of giving you a new teaching, something that I haven't given you before, this prayer together with the outline. I'm starting this as an encouragement for you to continue your study and practice of this text, and you can continue this practice and study with the Kempos, with the great scholars, also in the future, continue to ask them questions and so on. And so for myself, I'm just introducing you to this, and also because this is a very special text to me. I was in prison for 20 years, and during this entire time, I had tightly held on to this text. I had always kept it very dear, and I did not lose it to the so-called barbarians at that time. So it's very important for everyone to see, and I felt that it will bring great benefit to you. So I myself actually, I don't really hear much anymore, don't really see much anymore, but I'm just kind of pushing myself, making myself to put this out there because I really feel that it will be of great benefit to you.
Lama major boje ji ngawa gerung kumsang doje lama major boye koshu bakame ngala kareso ta ngake zangbo chubo mona to sorti doju kenin age yin song de gerung kumsang doje tesong mari ti chudi yung ti ha ko na min samche de ba yebe de na ta zang tu tong sorti kenin ani ta kanda ji yore de sore de gerung kumsang doje re de lama major boje ji ngawa kongre kumsang dorji. Gerong.
And also one example of a person who had really seen the preciousness of this prayer, of excellent conduct. There was one person who actually took a commitment to recite this prayer 100 million times. And so that was at the time when Lama Mingyo Rinpoche had passed into Paranirvana. There was a monk called Gelong Gunzang Dorje. And he then at that time took a vow, a commitment to recite this prayer 100 million times.
There Jase Dani Chembo, John Dorzanki, Toman Jamyang, Tama Kumnagapar, Yin Jatimare, Kundu Zangbu, Norzangla, Davi Yikiva, Sanchuk Serenboji, Gune Langdi, Lapti Monam Tata, Ne Tada Matama Mepar, Dute Sumbala, Poko Zambo Jobe. Monamje jabu zabe sabje dang singdong dang joju monamje yong ngu 용 탈선 버서와던 좀래 당보는 이데스.
So then the prayer, the outline begins with the great Kumara Sudana, wonderful wealth of youth, this Norsang, was a bodhisattva who relied upon 100 gurus from Manjushri to Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra said to Kumara Sudana, reciting this prayer with the thought of the precious mind of bodhicitta, which cherishes others more than oneself, comprises the essential points of every aspiration prayer. The outline of the Noble King of Aspiration prayers for excellent conduct is divided into 3 sections: the meaning of the title and the translator's homage, the main part of the prayer, the concluding activities of the text. And of this, first there is the meaning of the name and the translator's homage.
팍팍 잡아리 오늘 잡아리 착탈로서 나한테 이제 사이스 니빠 몰람제 용물이 무로이나 담배 주장 무지 몰람제 이와 예 벌시바 지 몰람제 표현된바 동양 땡땡 적도 와서 섬레서 당도 홍도랑 아데 당보 순남제 초사와라서.
So first is the meaning of the name. In the Indian language, the Arya Bhadracharya Pranidhana Raja. Then in the Tibetan language, the Pakpa Sangpo Chöbe Mönlam Gyalpo. And then in English, the Noble King of Aspiration prayers for excellent conduct. So that's the meaning of the name. Then the translator's homage to the ever youthful Manjushri. The main part of the prayer. First, there is the preliminaries, purifying the mind stream through the 7 branches. Second, the main part, a detailed account of the prayer's components. And third, the conclusion. In the end, an outline of the prayer's benefits. So regarding the first one, there are 5 preliminaries.
Samba septically, Samba and he been Sunam Carridi. Don't know in the Sunam with Joy, Kangri. Matang, Pogan, the sheet, no dogs and Jam, Mata point, the sheet, yeah, to talk to her, also trouble your, told her, Omate Yore. Thought daily, to draw them simply Mata Podan and Yam to the same dear Carido. They the Ma take it in it, yeah, Rugger, Lu Shata, Omajima, Town Luigi. Partly, started the woman take Yori. Did something, Martin Zuba Yori there. Jimba, certain Bogota, Nuba Pangori, Rangi, Nuba Pango Yori. You know, that is Zuba, Bogota Nuba Cateta for the control. Jimba, certain Zuba, this is something, the Juba Chamber, something, thrown to some Tango Yori, Pache, the Shab Bevared. Shab Beva the Careta, Naga Poresa. The dog dig dogs on young Hidara Yomari. He covered Markeva, take it, Sunam, Sheka Sunam, Sheka Sunam, Maiva, Dadi, didn't call someone Jondo Yori. The way they sound it, they sang you. Sunam to chat, come on, Sadi. The Sa, Nisa, look at this argument. Sunam just something about hardcore. This something the double jar. They double the Zubi double jagger. Yeah, summer, summer semi somewhere. 사지 진짜 사마 재미지 사마 재미는 랍치보리 비로 따뜻다 사바자치 보시나 그죠 제가들 서울만 보다로 같이 용을 뒤참만 쏘나면 뭐 하고 요 말이 배는 도는 떨어지 마 샤우나 까마지 요리 뒤 사마 셀이는 저는 저 셀비 짜치고 저 셀다시 요 말이 사는 사이도 못 살더랑 이게 요래데 사진이 대하고 삼지 중지 요 대삼지 게베 저래서 그다다데 다당 코데 탐체데 두습도 게베 자와데 삼지지 자치 뭐요 별로 들어 속자 삼니 얘기는 오 순남리에데 삼바 삼지데 순남리에데 하고도서 이 강남을 별로 오 잡담냈다나 셉지는 필말소 셉지는 필말 삼지는 순남을 저런 저러요래 대수는 거 저자 하고를 대수는 사고 탑 사고들이 들이 파르도 좀 저거는 탑당 또당 뭐람 이시이소 탑을 때린다 사지 수는데 되니 오 대다 수는 차송지 이甚至 탑지를 피비켜도 뭐고 어디 다다 뭐하다 뭐람 되겠다 나 사진도 하나를 쪽으로고요 대 쪽으로 들이니까 게다데 유체야 요 말이들 망동은 저트과도 양토는 소금 빼대 요고요 대도 사지에 탑을 개봐야지 바로도 서바져네 탑들이 내리대 말아리베 여러분 제시를 쏘말이 세세 초지 바로는 탑지도 알아로 매지 릉아이서 사세티 탑지 세지를 피베 제탑을 제소를 이 서버촌나 소소를 넣어요래 대수는 탑들 타만 쏘나 먹게 왔다고 개발을 저 탑 누게 개발을 저탑 그래서 사지에 탑들이 탑다 시랍지다 사지만도 이는 요 말이 별나 시랍도 세가서 대들이 탑들이 하던 같이 모여 맞들이 대회들이다 송남제 초 사과라지 소랑 초도 받들다 소랑 초가 파르도 스마트로 파르도 스마트로 다다 주체 메바 샘디올 때 유니 핀데다 잠바 디트니다 소랑 저기 숙주 로요리 그 로가도 시라고 차가 생긴 거래데 데르티사 더도리 벨라 쳐있는 넘데서 오늘 때 넘데 저들만 오만은 말처도 말도서 그래 됐어 이들이 조항은 맞죠라 그래 뭐안 맞이라 그러지 뭐라도 왜다들 돌아도 요래 콘트로다 차도 따라서 게자지 저저르티네 때문에 탑들이 다 모람들 모람 저 뭐다 모람송 대통바 예수께 송도 하대 오 사도 무슨 배샤는 로조 상치 동바지리 대인저 딱발로 말이지 남과 조항을 요거리지 남과 조항을 여기다 예박도 오고 그랬어 찍바래 주력 상치 송지 찍바래 오 데이터 하고 소선 오 따지는 가는 비강을 총나 오 선남사까지 강을 파대고 제때 담시 수남을 저런 로도 상태 모나고 제다서 들이 사마 소남 저 들이 다도 소남 될 뭐냐면 공리고 맞지와 제와 뭐냐면 공리고 탑 대선 센터로 초사지 봐도 제가 이나 되게 일모바 쪽 디기 버들이 이나 되서 말이 속속 담지 얘기마다 되는 거에 수남들 초사가 다 합성
So the first one is the gathering the accumulation of merit. So the first one of the 5 preliminaries, gathering the accumulation of merit. So we already mentioned before what merit actually is. And so that is why we should understand that merit does not just mean that I'm going to spend my entire life in retreat and just practice. That is not the only way of accumulating merit. There's merit really to be accumulated in whatever we do. And so first of all, that is because we all possess Buddha nature. It's always there with us. Buddha nature is empty. The empty nature is always present, but it is obscured by self-grasping. And so for as long as there is self-grasping, there is virtue and non-virtue in our minds. When we separate from self-grasping, we are able to cultivate true merit, which is immeasurable love and compassion. For example, where can we find this cause of merit, of love and compassion? We find that, for example, between mother and child, even in the animal realm. So that is why we say we see all sentient beings in the 6 realms like a mother sees her child. For example, even in the animal realm, an animal mother takes care of her child. She gives the child milk and so forth and protects the child. And then when they stay together, they experience great happiness. So first the mother gives the child her body of flesh, blood, and bones. She gives the child milk and so forth. The mother gives a body to the child. The mother gives milk to the child, gives love and patience to the child. For example, between a mother and her child, a mother would give anything to her child. So she practices really generosity. She also practices ethical discipline because she doesn't want to harm the child. Then she also is patient because no matter how troublesome the child is, she never gets angry with the child. She doesn't hate the child. And then she always sustains, and that's patience, she always sustains an ongoing stream of love for her child. And that really is meditative concentration. And then she's diligent in all of these activities. That's diligence. The only thing that is often missing is the perfection of wisdom, because the mother thinks that's my child. So she feels great love for her child, but she doesn't feel the same kind of love for anybody else, any other child. And so because of a lack of wisdom, the mother also lacks a skillful means. And therefore, the activities are partially a merit, but also the other half is self-grasping. The mind is still obscured by self-grasping, and therefore the activities still become a seed for samsara. And so the Buddhas gave us a method to cultivate true merit, and they taught us how to accumulate this merit. So first, the way we need to recognize merit is that merit is love. It is loving kindness. And loving kindness must be protected with patience. So the Buddhas essentially taught us to cultivate immeasurable love. It is immeasurable love. When love is immeasurable, this is what gives love its great power. For example, if the intention is so vast, if it is immeasurable, it is just like you are planting countless seeds into a field. There will be a lot of crops. So the mistake we often make is that we don't recognize the opportunities for accumulating merit all around us. For example, if you think of a rock, a piece of stone, when the sun shines on that piece of rock, then you can see like little stars pervading that rock. It's all glittering. And actually, it is pervaded by gold. And we consider gold to be very precious, but then we also don't know how to extract the gold from the rock. Actually, it is said that the essence of earth is really gold, but we don't really know how to extract it. And so the Buddha taught us how to recognize merit. In all the small things that we do, we can see it as a way to accumulate merit. In our dedication prayer, we say, I dedicate all the roots of virtue accumulated by myself and others in samsara and nirvana throughout the 3 times. So, for example, even when you cultivate love and compassion for an animal and want to feed them, then that is great merit. You just need to recognize it and then dedicate this root of virtue that you have created. Or when you go to pee, you can think that may be of the benefit for all sentient beings. Then even that becomes an accumulation of great merit. So we just need to know how to accumulate merit. We need to be skillful in accumulating merit. And so essentially we are accumulating merit through the practice of the 6 paramitas. There's also teachings on the 10 paramitas. So the 4 additional paramitas are the paramita of skillful means, the paramita of power, the paramita of aspiration prayer, and the paramita of primordial wisdom. So regarding the paramita of skillful means, so this is the methods that the Buddha taught on how to recognize merit and make everything you do become an accumulation of merit. Then once you have accumulated merit, you should dedicate it for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that's the paramita of the aspiration prayer. And when you dedicate your merit, it is like you're putting your wealth of virtue into the bank of the Buddhas. When you put your wealth into the bank of the Buddhas, you deposit it there, then there it will never become exhausted. It will actually increase more and more. It is just like adding a drop of water into the ocean. So the 10 paramitas are a method to accumulate merit. Also, once when Milarepa gave a teaching on the 10 paramitas to Gelong Geshe, he said that aside from accumulating merit in whatever you do, there is no other perfection of skillful means than that. So in whatever you do with body, speech, and mind, you can accumulate merit. And then you need to seal that merit with dedication prayer. And then it becomes a true vast merit. And in this way, if you apply skillful means in this way, even non-virtue can be transformed into virtue. Suffering is transformed into happiness. So that is the skillful means that the Buddha had given us. And so the Buddha gave us skillful means and wisdom, and it's really only the Buddha who possesses the ultimate skillful means and wisdom. So the accumulation of merit, again, basically means to accumulate the paramitas, or to practice the 6 paramitas, and then dedicate this merit for the benefit of all sentient beings. So it is just important that you seize the opportunity to accumulate merit, or that you skillfully extract the virtue in anything that you do, just like you are extracting oil or butter from milk. It naturally pervades the milk, but you need to extract it. Or it is just like putting your wealth of virtue into the bank of the Buddhas. Then once you have done that, so once you have accumulated merit, you have to dedicate so that the merit does not become destroyed. There is 4 causes that lead to the decline of your roots of virtue. For example, if you get angry or jealous and so on. So the dedication prayer is a method for you not to lose your roots of virtue. There's this one quote I came across, about a Christian quote I came across, right, something that Jesus said, and that is, he said that the worldly treasure houses are empty of any substance. They are not reliable and they are not permanent. It is better to put your wealth into the treasure house of the heavens, of the skies. And that really, in my mind, means generosity. What he's really saying is that you have to practice generosity. And so again, in this regard, all the religions are really the same. And so if you understand it in this way, you will be able to see the opportunity in accumulating merit in anything that you do. And then if you dedicate your merit, then that virtue will always further increase. It will never decline. It will increase more and more. Also, it is said that the offering of the 7 branches is an antidote to the 6 afflictive emotions, and also a way to accumulate great merit. And so that's really the essence. And elsewhere we can find more elaborate explanations on that. But really, everything is included within those some 7 branches.
네 책도 거슬 요리세 다시 로시를 칠 살이 저거 좀 말이 뒤에서 좋아져서 그래 류당아 이 당을 사죠 류가 이 수문다 땅도 다당만 가네 상마제저 받을 류가에서 개발 고르지와 가래리 땅이 곰자가 가지는 샘내로 따가이지 대담자 저거리 마시 받을 류가에서 개발 고르들 랑코르다 다지세만 출발하는 랑코르라서 와 저들이 사족 생기지 개발 고르는 날 장난이도 사죠 너희들은 너무 상따답게 받을 류가에서 개발들 들이 내내 당내라서 와 초반소 되고는 냠니 개발 대담제지 들이 제를 대다 팽게 요리다 다당만은 요리 대르더니 셉다도 정말 류가 있으면 차차와 강그 인보리들 다 톡도 현 상토가 류가제게 인보리 나제도 나 수고이 나간 먹고 나 추먹고 가는 상고요리 나디 쳐다더니 다당 나사가 수나한테 줘다 나를 늘나 참이 세면 동에미 대요리 디수나고 저세 동타나 들이 네 사자비는 데가 손에 수나고 같이 제대로 속보로 소매 빵고 차도래 제도 네번 텐트면 나가요래 수나고 저세 세동들이 대연은 상인데 그거 요리 가면이 때리더니 나제는 추고도 어디요 셔소를 셈 시간만도 리드 셔도 얼마도 셈시야 요만 양을 다보신가 양을 마다야 가지를 줘고 그래 내가 리다가 이상 사죠 추시와 나도 다 삼지고 요리 때리더니 추고도 먹어지 라는 네와 고도 먹어지 제대로 보면 알겠지 나제기 뭐 사사비 나지
And so then the first one is prostration. So it says, so the first one of this accumulation of merit, with purity of body, speech, and mind, I bow to all the heroic Buddhas of the past, present, and future. So we prostrate. And so in our opening prayers in the Dagdangma, which is the second page in our yellow prayer book, it says, until I attain enlightenment, I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. And so that essentially means that I am always going to meditate. I'm always going to look at the nature of my mind. Then secondly, it says, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue for as long as I live, until I die. And that could mean, for example, to spin a prayer wheel for the rest of your life, or to hold a mala, and so on, as a support for cultivating bodhicitta. In my case, for example, it means to spin the prayer wheel for as long as I live. And then in the third line says, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue from now until this time tomorrow. And that refers to the various kind of short-term practices that we do, such as the Nyingne or the Nyungne practices or other group practices we do together. And so now, in terms of prostration, so with purity of body, speech, and mind, I prostrate. Prostration is mainly an antidote to pride. So we, for example, think that I'm wealthy, I don't need anything, I don't need the dharma, and so on. And you might feel that everything is going well, you're not sick physically, you don't experience a lot of mental suffering. That is because you possess great merit. But then this only lasts until the merit comes to an end, until it is exhausted again. But therefore, Sakya Pandita also said that merit becomes exhausted. For example, in the early parts of your life, you might find yourself wealthy, and then in the later parts of your life, you become impoverished. Or in the earlier parts of your life, you're healthy, and later you become sick. So because merit becomes depleted, we need to accumulate merit. And so even though we are prideful, it is because now we are alive. But later when we die, the mind does not die. It is just the body that dies. And so after the body has died, the mind goes on either to take birth in a pure land or in any other impure state. And so that is why we need the dharma. We need love, loving kindness. And so if there is a question about do we need the dharma or do I not need the dharma, needing or not needing the dharma is really a question of needing or not needing happiness. So the dharma is not just for this life. So prostration, again, is an antidote to pride.
탁기 잡아다가 가면 일단 세계 내lok들이 산적 세비다만이 사바 세민바요는 로그도 저거 탁기를 착착을 요리 다들이 이런 이식건강이들이 샘내lok거든 내에서 탁기 탐지들이 더처럼 뛰어든 생부터 뭐 더처럼 뛰어든 뒤섬지 사제 탐지 탁당 예비 받자고 동당은 되니 약간 yap자 좀 어때지 이제 사 이제 산적 선반이 가능되니 라게 주의를 하나 이게 사례디 저희 대다하면 되죠. 영영영 다 용띠 줘봐도 지금 나가 사지 이 숨어디 끼는 거리 오 나제비 받다 산적으로 대바실들이 너는 당도 이기서는 대바실라 들이 사서 고추고요 레디.
And then the next verse, so then it says, I bow with as many bodies as there are atoms in the world. And so that is the prostration of the body. So there's prostration of body, speech, and mind. And so when we cultivate immeasurable love and rest within the natural state of the mind, then this becomes homage or prostration to the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya. So when you rest within the natural state of mind, within primordial awareness, then, so it says here in the prostration of the mind, on each atom, I imagine there to be as many Buddhas as atoms in the world. So what it means is that when you rest within the natural state of the mind, you are inseparable, indivisible from all the Buddhas. So that is the prostration of the mind here is the ultimate prostration. When the twofold bodhicitta are present in your mind, you are really performing the prostration of the mind. And regarding the prostration of the speech then, praising their perfections. So you are bringing to mind the qualities of all of these Buddhas, and you express these qualities. That is the prostration of speech. So as ultimately, prostration really comes from a mind of faith. There's just three kinds of faith: the clear faith, the longing faith, and the trusting faith. When you possess faith, you are really performing prostration.
초밥을 노차도 세는 뭐 초밥을 와서 내들 메소도 만타와 담아서 선인도 소화도 마음도 자와 대다는 초밥제서 대든저 메도 담반 초와 담바들 하정자 전부 약수지 뭐고지 사지를 약조 요마이까지 라는 생각된 초밥을 만들어 라는 다대냐고 걔들 가족 잘라서 전부는 들이 저땀 정말 대소들이 약수의 사제 분들이 랑 대소 다디 판로 요래되나 다디의 선생님 모임 배나더니 주가 강정 뭐더니 대소 좀면은 들이 될 양데 접주는 저 양통에 요래되 동당문이더니 다디 장로 요래 메토다만 총하다만 동대래지.
Then next is making offerings, and making offerings is an antidote to attachment and stinginess. So it says, I offer to those heroic Buddhas the finest flowers, garlands, music and ointments, excellent canopies, choice lamps, and the best incense. So this term finest flowers, garlands and so on, finest, that is really the key word here. So we are offering the very best, the finest of offerings. And that is not because the Buddhas have a certain preference for things, that they don't like bad things but just good things. But the reason why we are making finest offerings is in order to purify our own self-grasping. So whatever is most precious to us, if you have an object that you find very precious, the more you hold on to it, the more, and that deepens the bondage. But if you give it away and if you offer the very best that you have, then your self-grasping actually diminishes. So making offerings is an antidote to attachment or self-grasping and stinginess. So when you're making offerings, we should offer whatever is the finest. And then there is also a result corresponding to the cause coming from that. On the relative level and on the ultimate level, we purify self-grasping.
Kuba chepa pabu jugude, jelung di laman chemi do tesongure. Ta beto gacha hajang chibolo lemna. Ta teng nga chibolo song sang de bakcha jogore. Mari di shangkang tam chen mer sang da di bakcha jogo mari. Ka tili chuba mo mo kang thong de ma tha da chuba mo gore so. Ri den je di kan na yo ba tam chi ta la na yo ba chuba song. 강 통주 제력도 저 적다터로 강 일어나들 하자 야고 건조섬 주 강 탐질 됐다 주바 먹고 주바 템바리 초섬 삼노도 에 라라 요번 주바서 라라 매배 주바더니 양 강통을 남이 자시와 되다 자와 탐질 랑면데 람지가 취이는들이 롱그 강 탐질 주바 람지가 자시 뭐 요래 요티 보섬 주바 요래 대답이 로그서는 주고서 이제 띵수고 그 다들 좀 촉사 탐계에서 오시 가던데 요래들 요라 야소 말말 대셔가 로그서들이 랑게 로그서만 안 보거들이 불들이 양 수능 토크 요래서 라를 매번 줘봐.
And so these are these past offerings, and regarding these past offerings, actually, Lama Chima Dorje also said that whenever, for example, you see a beautiful flower or something that is very nice, where you feel that, oh, today I saw something really nice, normally this is how you are actually creating a karmic imprint, a habitual tendency in your mind. So instead of that, if you see something very beautiful, something that you like very much, instantly, the moment you see it, think that I'm offering that to the Pure Lands, to the Buddhas in the Pure Lands. Then in that way, if you're offering it up right away, then you are not creating a karmic imprint of self-grasping in the mind. So whenever you see something very pleasing in this world, immediately make it an offering. Whether you see something or hear something or come into contact with something, form, sound, smell, taste, touches, and so on, all of these can become these surpassed offerings. You can offer them all to the three jewels or the Buddhas in the Pure Lands. And then there are the unsurpassed offerings. By the power of my faith in the deeds of Samantabhadra, I prostrate and present vast and unequaled offerings to each of the victorious ones. Here we make natural offerings that pervade the entire realm of Dharma Dhatu, the Pure Lands of the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakayas, which are endless and which are endowed with perfect qualities. So when you bring them to mind, then you're making these unsurpassed offerings. And so you might think that, well, there are all these Pure Lands, and then that's it. You don't think anything more. That's not enough. So you have to bring them to mind. You have to bring to mind all of these Pure Lands and offer all to those Pure Lands. And in this way, you are accumulating great merit. So these are the unsurpassed offerings.
学堂做一嘛这里的，就得话下过人啦说，得话下人下在有就一边了。学堂起码他的哈好生了，人嘛上的这不需要了对了说嘛，学堂拉说个牛嘛刚个生了把恰样嘛，我这把恰样什么的，点嘛他的什么的人这个下，两了多年的。要个习惯，得把习惯人啦说，学堂做的，真正做学堂下个有的是。
And then next is the branch of confession, and that is the antidote to mainly hatred or anger, and all the other afflictive emotions. So we are confessing or laying aside misdeeds. So what we really need to confess or lay aside is anger. The moment it arises, think that that was not okay, and see it with mindfulness. So anger or any other afflictive emotion, when it arises, and we allow it to be there, we are forming a karmic imprint, a habitual imprint in the mind. So recognize that, there's this imprint, I'm creating an imprint, and immediately confess it with a mind of love and compassion. So the branch of confession mainly is an antidote to anger or hatred. And then the antidote to jealousy is rejoicing. And so jealousy, actually, among the different afflictions, jealousy is a smaller affliction that actually causes the greatest harm. Sakya Pandita also said that an evil intention is what causes all your marriage to become depleted. And that happens, for example, between relatives or gurus, or some people who think they are very influential and who are wealthy. First, they're very prideful in what they possess. And then when there is somebody who is similar, then they are jealous and competitive with each other. And so these emotions, they destroy or kind of burn away our love. But also these are negativities that can be confessed and in this way purified. For example, if we apologize and we are confessing our negativities. And so again, when we confess negativities, we confess mainly anger, but all the other negativities as well. And so we can rejoice in the great merits of the great beings like the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, and then in the merit of all other sentient beings. For example, also animals. When we see a mother and her child being harmonious, we can rejoice in that and think that is wonderful. May they always be harmonious, and we rejoice in that. Or when someone cultivates love, think that this is wonderful. I rejoice in that. And if you rejoice in the virtue of others, you will receive the same merit. This also was taught in the prayer of Sukhavati, of Devachan. So the antidote to jealousy is rejoicing.
이바랑 이 피부 sak상지 소하다 봐디 이 강리 이먹이 뭐 취지 걸고 소하다 봐 강나 되게 되는 만다 저서 콜로라나며 거고 이먹들 담이 취시 받으면은 담이 취라더니 시럽지 요래 오 삼대도 다치 보지 마 내와도 내가 저 삼대에 막 동에가 저 단지 봐 취르지는 하고 말이 대하 거때 말더니 취지 걸고 소하다 봐
Then number 4 is the request with the noble purpose for one's own and others' benefits. So there is to turn the wheel of dharma. And so to turn the wheel of dharma, or requesting to turn the wheel of dharma, is the antidote to ignorance. So it says, I entreat the enlightened protectors who have attained the detachment of Buddhahood and illuminate the worlds of the 10 directions to turn the peerless wheel of Dharma. If we possess the Dharma, if we understand the Dharma, and wisdom arises, and wisdom understands the preciousness of love. It understands that love is the cause of all happiness and self-grasping is the cause of all suffering. If we do not have the Dharma, we will not understand that. So supplicating, requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma is the antidote to ignorance.
그때 접차를 대봐도 마음 잡거리 대 동물이 그들이 죽어라 탐로를 죽어들 로고들 잡아 주면 제발 요거요래 그동좀 강과 또 맞다 그래 저거 내가 살려라면 매도 말이 대 동물이 동물고 내요래 대들더니 가디나더니 까바신 거더니 요봐야다가 탐말져서 어제 대대도 옛날 양 tel다가 대 연말에 시바 뒤를 가고 뒤들을 한 못남 잡나 그래서 사지에 대마야 한번 잡으려는데 장난식 가는 매발당이 따따 녀마지도 안 받고요. 배도 사제 때마다 매야요 말이지. 난 대책이 못해야 돌아도 요말 세답이 취하면 로야 요 말이지. 대답지 연발에 시부고는 대대받아 모놈 잡고요. 그래도 네 태도가 뭐
So next is the antidote to doubts, and that is to request not to pass into nirvana. So we often think that now the Buddhas or a Lama is a guru is there, they're present, but then now later they're not present, they're not there anymore, they're gone. Or we make prayers for the long life of a master. We say, may they live for hundreds of years. But actually, even when their body passes on, their mind really dissolves into the Dharmakaya. And then from the Dharmakaya expands, countless Sambhogakaya manifestations will arise. The body on the relative level is just like an empty house, and it's not the actual guru. The actual mind of the guru never ceases to be, always remains. And so here we beseech them to always remain and to remain for as many aeons as there are atoms in all worlds. And so even though they always remain, we also need to recognize that they always remain and rejoice in that and pray that they always remain. For example, through the power of such aspiration prayer, in the past, for instance, the Buddha's teachings were almost on the verge of complete destruction. So there were certain groups of individuals destroying the Buddha's teachings, but then now again, the teachings are blazing up like fire again. So because of aspiration prayer, they can't really be completely eliminated. And so even though the Dharma will never disappear, we also have to recognize that. And so therefore this supplication to not pass into nirvana is an antidote to doubts.
Geta Dandi Yibon Hoyinat. Dandi the Hajam Chung Chiborim. Jaktisum Yungde, somebody. Jigu took the Kaja, Chekasho, and Roku, me jump to run, if they charity. Oh, Tabichuk, the Lama gave it in Kadi and Rokati Jashin, me chase and Tilo the Payoks. Jakti Koaba the daughter, me Pinta, Kadi, called up what Japti, me is a Tilo the Payok. So soon as the social rally ran a chair or mother, Kotorka were leg stop with so long with because the doctor just so long talk with no you the rang the princess the picture so now with Jordan the way. Trita de what get at the them get at the judge and zero. Oh, get at the get about them more money. Yeah, Joba Chilan J, Mamun and Z, Lopa Mun and Z, there is a Gyotan Mon and Z. Get up the judge at the last 70 times, Jin Savona, the Modi at the Data Chilok Chepa, your sorry. Chilokachik around the torch and one your sorry. They might Saji body 60 times at this. I mean, 60 times, 70 times, make up some money, but Saji Tomato Modi. They will three Saji times to 100 your Namja Japto, my dear, say to your money. More than that, example to one sort of data, more than Monam the Denita, part of some top journey, top the Monam the top, so that is Saji, Nava Saji, but Pachechi and Sari, that is already. This is community, Uncle Machoma, the Minnesota Perochi, Taji.
And then the antidote to self-grasping is to dedicate one's roots of virtue. So self-grasping has a lot of faults. Lord Chikden Sumgan has said that whether it is in the Dharma or in the world, in the Dharma, for instance, spiritual masters and gurus think that I did this and I did that, did this past extensive meritorious activities, or even in a samsaric sense, we may think that I helped them, I did this, I did that. So this constant sense of me, that is something we need to discard, we need to get rid of that, because that prevents us from actually accumulating great merit. And so whatever happens to the other person, whether they experience happiness or suffering, is up to their own karma, their own merit. But the fact that you are helping them is your own cause of merit. And there are four causes that destroy one's own merit. And so that is if we regret having performed a virtue, or if we don't dedicate, or if we perform corrupt dedication, or if we gain some pride, we feel prideful in our accumulation of merit. So therefore, the moment we create merit, we have to immediately dedicate it for all sentient beings. And the way we perform dedication may be a little bit different in different traditions. So some maybe only first dedicate for themselves, but another way of dedicating is for the sake of all sentient beings, and not just for some temporary gain, but in order for them to ultimately attain enlightenment. And so this is similar to putting your wealth into the bank, the treasure house of the Buddhas, or your drop of water into the ocean of the Buddhas. And there it can never become exhausted. So in essence, the prayer for excellent conduct really is such a dedication prayer. And within the 6 paramitas or the 10 paramitas, it is the paramita of the power of aspiration prayer. And that seems to be a very unique quality of the Buddha's teachings. So now we will take a break for 15 minutes. Ashidele.
Om